It's time to focus on seniors with Helping Seniors TV. The television show designed to make you aware of senior issues and needs, as well as to acquaint you with the resources available to help you age in place and with dignity. Now, here's your host, Joe Steckler.
Hi, I'm Joe Steckler, and welcome to Helping Seniors, the television arm of Helping Seniors of Brevard County. Our show is designed to provide you with information on how to develop your own aging and care plans. Our topic today is Helping Seniors of Brevard County. And joining me in the studio is Kay Kaiser, who is the Information Specialist for Helping Seniors of Brevard, and Kerry Fink, who is our Media and Marketing Director, also with Helping Seniors of Brevard County. Welcome, Kay.
Thank you.
Welcome, Kerry.
Good to be here.
You know, we work together almost a daily basis, but this is the first time we've had a chance to put some of our thoughts about what Helping Seniors is, what it's capable of doing to you, our viewing audience. And I think it's so important that you know the personalities behind the scene. I want both of you to tell our viewer what you think Helping Seniors is. You tell it, and then you give us your viewpoint. What do you think Helping Seniors is, Kay?
A very much needed service in our community. We are here as, I like the way we came up before, with an outreach and an inreach. The outreach obviously being to educate seniors and people in our community with various subjects that pertain to seniors. Inreach, you're going to get me on the other side of the phone and trying to get to the right resources. So many seniors or caretakers have absolutely no idea how to navigate our systems. They've become overwhelmed with the information if they're looking for a place to live or getting VA benefits or a variety of different subjects. So my job is to try to make it easy and to develop relationships with the people that I speak to. I'm not going to just be quick and here's a telephone number. No, because I often find that when someone calls, they may have one issue, but
Several more come up.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So we want to educate them, but we also want to help them get through our system to help seniors find and their caretakers what they're looking for.
Now, help Kay understand what it is she didn't tell her on viewing.
Well, I think she did a good job with that.
I didn't say she didn't do a good job. I just said, tell them what else that you think we can do.
Well, here's the challenge, I think, for all of us. For all of us, aging is on-the-job training. None of us ever have that experience. And I don't care if you're the person aging or perhaps you're the adult child of a person aging. It's all on-the-job training.
Yes.
So what Helping Seniors really does is create a connection for people to get information that can make a huge, huge impact in their lives. People will talk about sometimes they think it's a money issue, sometimes they think it's a health issue, but a lot of times it's an information issue about knowing where to go to get connected. And to me, that's what Helping Seniors is all about.
My last job in the Navy, I commanded a Navy retirement home that took care of 550 people. Their average age was 77. I learned from those people. I thought I knew a lot about aging. From 1993 to today, I have vastly increased my own personal knowledge. In fact, on a show I just recently did with Joel Dunham of the Space Coast Center for Independent Living, I learned about programs right here in Brevard County, and as well connected as I think I am to aging resources, I heard about them for the first time. And if I'm hearing about them for the first time, I just wonder how many of our viewing audience has never heard or will ever hear about these things. That's why I think what we're doing is so important. But I think it's also important, Kerry and Kay, for our viewers to understand a little bit about your backgrounds and what you bring to the overall equation of building information, education, and connecting people to resource. first, Kate, a little bit about your background.
Okay, well, the most recent was I have been in the senior market. I was a marketing director for a rather large retirement community and dealing with people making major decisions to give up their home to move into an independent living environment, and then also tour assisted living, skilled nursing, and we even had a hospice on the location. So working with seniors, for a number of years, I have been able and fortunate to develop relationships and resources already from people that I've been associated with that I now can say, all right, I remember this person.
But go back before that.
Even before that?
Why do you think that I think that your television and your radio experience brings an important part to this new equation of informing, educating, and connecting?
Okay, well, prior to moving to Florida, I actually owned a broadcast television production company and ad agency. So I was able to put myself into an environment to be somewhat of a chameleon with any kind of business and trying to formulate what would be the best way to present their message. That evolved also into advertising, but along the way, I also was able to receive a grant and go on to produce some programs for PBS. So, I feel like I've always had that creative niche to me, and as a result, even in my prior position, it almost comes instantly, you're the best writer in the world, in my opinion.
No. Look, I get ideas. I bounce my ideas off my wife. I have a young lady that has been working for me since she was 24 years old. She is one of the best writers in the world. Mm-hmm. I bounce stuff off you. I bounce it off you. I can take credit for part of it. I think more where the credit is for me is I'll think of it. I may not get it stated the best way, but if my body would keep up with my brain, I would be very, very happy. My brain doesn't feel like it's almost 81 years old. My body does, and you know that.
And you don't look like it.
Well, the good Lord's been very, very kind. I've had an easy life. Kerry, how about you telling our listeners, our viewers, a little bit about your background so they can see how you fit in with what Kay and I are trying to do?
Sure, absolutely. Well, for me, to me, it's kind of providential. I grew up as a radio guy. So doing radio, working with commercial radio stations and things like that. And my wife and I had an opportunity to grow and develop a radio network called The Music of Your Life. And we used to joke and tell people, what is that? We play the good music. So for us, that meant music like anything from Frank Sinatra to Dean Martin to Tony Bennett to Johnny Mathis.
Kay Kaiser.
Yeah.
College of Musical Knowledge.
And we were a radio network, and we fed that to a couple of hundred radio stations 24 hours a day, 7 days a week around the country. Now, radio stations typically survive because they sell advertising time. So we quickly learned that while we were attracting a huge audience of people who were predominantly 50 plus, and if truth be told, probably predominantly 65 plus, that we needed to become experts in the 65 plus from a marketing perspective, because we found that typically going to advertising agencies, and I'm talking about big, sophisticated advertising agencies in New York City, to tell them this is a valid audience. And unfortunately, a lot of times I said, well, we're going for the younger viewer, we're going for the younger listener.
Yeah.
So through part of that, we started working with groups like the American Society on Aging. We were on the board with a group called the Business Forum on Aging. And these were all things to try to get an education program out to seniors, but also to people who aren't seniors yet. And there was a great ad campaign created by a 50-plus section of J. Walter Thompson. And I had a picture of an older woman who was very athletic and doing swimming. And it said, I am what you will become. And I thought that always made sense, because for all of us, God willing, we have the opportunity to age. So the more that we can study and learn how to age well and help others age well, really, if you think about it, that's one of the most valuable things we can do. My grandfather used to say, if you have your health, you have everything.
Exactly right.
That's true.
But along the way, both of you have picked up a world of knowledge in marketing, advertising, newsletter work, putting television shows together, marketing what exists in a community, and putting it in such fashion that people can make it part of their lives. And that's what I hoped we could accomplish with Helping Seniors. It's not just something that we say, viewer, you have to watch this and we'll tell you how to do that. That's not what we do.
Right.
We ask our people in need to call us. I think, just a real quick short story. I was sitting in my home the other night. I had a phone call from Washington, D.C. And the woman was telling me about a family member or a friend that lived down here that needed just companionship. And I said, how did you find out about me? She called me on my home phone. Somehow she got a hold of somebody in Titusville, Florida. They said, call me. And she did. I put her in touch with you.
Right.
You call the woman. We need to, I want to ask more. I won't get into the thing. But what made my day, Kay, was when you told me you talked to the lady and she was sort of guarded, but because you could hear her caregiver in the background telling her to be careful, which is exactly what a good caregiver should do.
That's exactly right.
Yeah. She was protecting the person she was taking care of. And these are the types of things that we find out. It's not just something that we do, it's something we follow up and we make happen. So, how do both of you think that we're going to connect with our printed media, the Senior Scene magazine, our hometown news, the radio, the television? How do you both think that this is going to be a tool that's going to help caregivers and patients, clients? How are we going to do a better job of getting our message out?
If I can respond to that, because anything that is published, and I still have to say that seniors have become more computer savvy, without a doubt, but it's still picking up something to read. They like the feel of a newspaper or a magazine. And as a result of that, we have various people who are now contributing with our newsletter to educate in their specific type of agency or business, again, to that educational, to help seniors understand maybe something that they're looking for. Now they can actually read about it.
Yeah. Kerry?
Well, I was just going to add to the fact that, we live in a county where literally one in four people is over the age of 65. And if you want to talk about the AARP definition of a senior, somebody over 50, and that means 1 out of 3 people in our county is over 50. And so the biggest and most important thing is, like you alluded to at the beginning of the show, we're the experts on this, or especially you're the expert on this, having done this for so many years. Mm-hmm. But even you're learning that there's new programs and things that can be beneficial. And so immediately our job is to communicate that information out to the seniors. And so we're blessed to have such wonderful media partners who help us get the word out. We're able to do this now on television. We were talking today, we have access to the library of something in the neighborhood of now 300 shows for Helping Seniors of Brevard. You do the radio show. You've been doing the radio show. We were just talking 14 years coming up. So all those radio programs, we've been published in Florida today. We have the Senior Scene magazine is now where the newsletter can be found. There's articles in Hometown News. There's articles in Senior Scene. And what's so important about that is if we who have our ear to the ground for seniors are learning new things, you have to, the object is to make sure that everybody can find and readily access this information at any time that they need it. And that's one of our goals. So if somebody says, I've just discovered I have a situation with arthritis, where can I find information? We want to make sure that we have some good places to begin the dialogue.
Well, I'm sorry, go ahead, Kay.
I was going to say too, and you're revamping the website.
That's right.
That's what I was going to say.
And I'm reading your mind. And that will be a very unique situation because it will link to that specific subject to right online.
Well, when we did the show with the Space Coast Center for Independent Living, Mrs. Dunham and I talked about their van transportation program. Transportation is one of the biggest problem areas in Brevard County because of the size and length of our county. But on the new website, if somebody wants to go a question about transportation, they push the transportation button,
Right.
and the show we did today will come up, and as well as other shows we have on there about transportation. But that's the beauty in having a program developed that will really fulfill the real need and meet the need. I personally believe, and I know the two of you will have a lot to say about this, advocacy, senior advocacy. I believe that one of the greatest sins in Brevard County is our failure to proactively identify and codify senior needs.
Absolutely.
And I think that if anything Helping Seniors can do is take a lead role in building this program starting in 2015. That's one of our objectives.
Absolutely.
Is to get seniors together. And not just a group of people saying, seniors, you need this, but for the seniors to get together and say, I don't like this. Why can't something be done about this? How can we do this better? Simple things.
Exactly.
I remember years ago before the Vietnam War, we sent people into Vietnam to help them grow larger vegetables. We helped them grow larger vegetables, but they had no way to store them. They didn't have the refrigeration systems. So we weren't accomplishing anything. That's just an example.
Right.
But I think that, how do you both feel about that?
Well, my take on this is that the advocacy part is exceptionally important because when you live in a county that has, like we just said, someplace 1/4 to 1/3 of the people are vitally interested in senior issues. And yet when we were doing analysis, just going through the county budget, which is $1 billion budget, that it seems like less than 1/10 of 1% of programs are specifically dedicated to seniors. Now, I'm not saying that there's not intentions to do things for seniors. I mean, they would argue, well, seniors drive on our roads, seniors use our traffic lights. They would say all those things, and that's very true. So I'm not against that. What we're here to do is not compete, we're here to complete. But you wrote something that's coming up, and I thought it was very poignant because nobody argues. In fact, we just passed this thing that we needed a 1/2 cent or whatever for schools, right?
Right.
Okay, so that's important. We recognize the need for taking care of our kids, who are very important. They're our future. They're what's going on in our county as well. But we can't forget the people who made that future possible, which is our seniors.
Right.
So why wouldn't we have programs that really specifically help our seniors? And I think that's the beauty of the advocacy program, is gathering people together and say, there are people who are vitally concerned about this, and not only for the generation that are seniors today, but the generations that are coming up are going to face the same issues if we
Exactly.
don't solve it today.
Okay.
I have already developed a list, and you were just witness to one of the ladies who stopped in here earlier today regarding her wanting to have her voice be heard. So I would put out to anybody watching this program, the fact is, if you would like to have your voice be heard, by all means, please contact us, because voices heard in quantity, I think we'll really get some attention here.
Anybody can pick out a testimonial and put it on a TV show or a radio show.
Right.
You're only going to pick what you want to say, what you want it to say.
Exactly.
But you go into a group of seniors and have them get upset and get irritated about what's not being said, you get a complete different presentation. So one of our tasks will be to help the senior voices be heard. We have wonderful resources in Brevard County. Personally, I don't think they're all being utilized the way they could be. And the reason I say that, it was in 1994, I stood before the county commission then, and the commissioners, one of them asked me, he said, Joe, What would you change if you were a commissioner? I said, you don't really want me to answer that question. And the guy says, why? I said, I wouldn't do what you're doing now. I would do it differently. I said, you are wasting valuable care dollars by spreading it out across a whole bunch of organizations, with most of the money going to the upper level management and not down to where it's needed. And that truly bothers me. When you brought up the business about a tax bill, I looked at my own tax bill. 44.6% of my taxes are going for children program. Not 1 cent is identified in there for any senior program. We have more seniors than we do children. Children, yes, they need good education, but seniors need an adequate roof, they need adequate food, they need adequate medications, and they need a whole lot of things. And people will say, why didn't they take care of that? Some people simply cannot take care of that. As try as they might, try as hard as they can. It doesn't happen. So that's why you need a loving, caring community that can pick up some of the pieces. Okay, in the 4 months that you've been the information specialist with Helping Seniors, what are some of the things that you feel we are able to give back to the seniors in their phone calls to you?
Well, interestingly enough, I have to say, when I have a call, I always end it with asking that person, would you mind calling me back, letting me know how things are going, in the development? And they do, Joe. They do. And if I'm on the other phone, I might add too, they'll leave that voice message and say, please call me back.
I know. I was waiting for you to say that.
You bet.
Yeah.
But I mean, the interesting thing, we were even talking yesterday regarding I try to, if I can, oftentimes they're somewhat reluctant to give me their age, because I'll try to turn it around and say, how young are you? So, we can get that documentation. But it's interesting because I get so many calls from people who are under the age of 65 looking for help, 50 to 64.
That's the group that falls right in the cracks.
That's exactly right.
Yeah.
So there have been, certainly we can't help 100% of everyone. But if I tell people on the phone, if I don't have a solution for you now, I will find it for you and get back with you.
What is the biggest unmet need that you've come across so far? The biggest one, single.
The biggest one, single senior women not having a place to go. They literally would have to be in the woods and homeless. We have places in our community for men. We have places in our community for women with children. But a woman on and I'm talking about some of the limited income, can be as low as $500 a month.
But how about Trinity Towers?
There's Trinity Towers, there's the Asbury Arms, there's a lot of different ones based on income. Some people tell me that I don't want to go to that. I want to stay independent and age with dignity where I am.
But we can't always.
But we can't do that.
Stay where we can't always be where we're. And this is something that nonprofit organizations and people that purport to care for people that just kind of help. We've got to do a better job of communicating with these people that, yes, we understand your problem, but you have to understand our problem too. But let's see if we can figure out a way to develop a workable solution. That's one of the things that Helping Seniors, at least I think, that when we defined our mission as information, education, and connecting,
Right.
if we can just start a better dialogue of information flow, generally, not always, but generally speaking, we can find some kind of a partial solution. And I think you've heard people call me, Kerry, and you've made that same comment after the phone call. So.
Yeah, one of the things I wanted to add into this conversation that you touched on that's so important is that there are a number of organizations throughout the county. But I think one of the things that is unique about Helping Seniors is that it's a 501c3. So its heart and soul is dedicated to serving the seniors. And what I mean by that is it doesn't have an agenda past that. It is
Right.
it is there, and the goal of the organization, as you've put the challenge out in front of us, is that we want to build an endowment so that generations from now,
Right.
Seniors will be helping seniors way on down the line. And I think that's such an important part of this, because the programs and the things that are being set in place are here not only to serve the people now, but as we keep moving down the line.
Well, that's a need that I've known about for years. And when I left the Alzheimer's Foundation, they had an endowment of over $2 million. I hope we can eventually put that in place here, because if we just took 10% of 12-month average in that fund and have it invested smartly, you can imagine on a $2 million endowment, you could take $200,000 out a year. For the person that called you that had a leaky roof that couldn't afford to get the hole fixed,
Right.
I mean, our board of directors would authorize our director fix it. You know, it costs $300, $400, $500. But when you have a couple $100,000 to work with, and it's concentrated in one organization, there's just a world of help and a world of good that you can do.
Oh, without a
Right.
doubt.
So,
And with a 501c3, and that's the point. There are organizations. If you have a checkbook, there are lots of organizations that can help you, businesses that can help you, things you have options. But also, I think one of the important things about helping seniors is that's not the question we ask somebody. The question is, how can we help you?
yeah. But having said that, we still need money to pay bills,
That's right.
to do the things, but we've off to a great start, and I know that the phone number, if people need to call UK, I'll give you a couple seconds. How do they contact you?
321-473-7770. Or
Yeah.
you can email me at k@helpingseniorsofbrevard.org.
Okay, all right. I look forward to a lot of good things happening over the next several months, especially with the advocacy part. But I want to thank you, Kay, thank you, Kerry, for today. And I want to thank you, viewer, for watching today's episode of Helping Seniors. If you have questions or comments, please call us at 321-473-7770. For more information on senior care and resources, visit our website at helpingseniorsofbrevard.org. Be sure to listen to Helping Seniors on radio station AM 1300 WMEL every Thursday afternoon at 1 p.m. and look for our Helping Seniors newsletter in our center section of Senior Scene magazine each month. I'm Joe Steckler, and thank you for watching us and being a part of Helping Seniors. I ad-libbed there.
It was good.